Hi everyone, welcome back. Let me just go ahead and clear the area. I got this free the other day. I think my other one was a little old and maybe Spirit was suggesting I get some new sage. I like incense a lot, but I don't really like the smell, even though maybe that's the point. I don't know. But we're going to go ahead and just clear the area. I hope everyone's doing well. I've been meaning to get back on and post something again, but things have been kind of busy, a little crazy around here. So I guess here I am now. All right, maybe we'll just open with the singing bowl a little bit. Kind of raise the vibration, balance out our third eye. If I didn't say it, I hope everyone's doing well. All right, it's a nice vibration we got going on here. Actually, the last time I did this, some of my friends and family went and watched the video and were making fun of me, but I don't care. My ego can handle it. I just feel it's a huge blessing to be able to clear the space with such a beautiful instrument of sound that's really quite very simplistic. Who knew? But anyway, so let's see. Let's get started here. I don't really know what direction we're going to go with the reading today because I haven't really been guided outside of, it's maybe going to have a little more of a mental health spin to it. Dealing with chaos, with trauma, just kind of helping people clear some space, create a space for themselves, and give themselves like a little direction as to where to go, what to expect, and some guidance. That I did get a new, let's see, they're kind of drawing me to a new deck that I ended up picking up. It's called the Sacred Rebels Oracle, and there actually is a new spread, a new way of doing a spread that's in this book, if I can find it. That, yeah, you know, I'm not super familiar with how to lay the cards out, so I'm just gonna kind of read with the book and kind of follow what Spirit is guiding me to do. But it's a 6-card spread, and it's called The Layout for Creative Inspiration in New Life. So if you are someone that was guided here, this will likely resonate if you are really kind of feeling like you're at a crossroads in your life. And maybe almost feel blocked, where you kind of you feel like you're doing what is necessary, you're doing what's asked of you. You know, give or take. I mean, a lot of people are really in this kind of suspended mode, this hangman mode, and that's just part of, they're giving me a black throat chakra here. So, I mean, that's, the energy is causing you to feel stuck, which makes sense if a lot of things are closed down and not available and not open, and spacing or timing is very restricted. It would make sense that we would feel restricted. But some of us that maybe part of our expression is through our voice, and not being able to have the space or the arena to do that, that's maybe why they're closing my throat chakra right now. Saying that part of the way that you balance your mood and your mind is through being able to speak, socialize. That's where you find your joy in your voice. I'm kind of getting this feeling of like more performers, people that have employment that of course could be more theatrical, stage wise, but a lot of us have had or currently have jobs that require some stage presence. Some leadership requires stage presence, and people that have a tendency to fall into those positions really, a lot of times people say, "Oh, crave the spotlight," but in a sense, that's true. I mean, there's something nourishing about being able to give and share through holding a space on stage. And even though sometimes that may be flipped and looked at as like very egotistical or self-centered or liking to be the spotlight, no right or wrong. I think we place way too much value on what so-and-so thinks about that, or what society tells us about this. If you feel like what you're providing is helpful, useful, nourishing to those around you, and then you also get an added benefit of feeling good while doing it, being recognized for your talents while you're giving, that's a win-win situation. So anyways, I'm kind of getting off track a little bit. We'll get back to this spread. So yeah, this will be a layout for inspiration of a new life. So it looks like we could pick 6 cards, and the first card would be for guidance for a new life, creative awakening happenings to me right now. Card 2 would be any blocks or issues that you're currently facing, or that you're working through. And then 3, the gift that is coming through this process of working through. I think that's another thing that I was having a hard time breathing for some reason. A lot of times we forget that the difficulties that we face, the challenges that we face, it's not just because of bad luck. It's not just because we didn't do the right thing or we messed up, which maybe sometimes that can kind of go hand in hand. But it's part of our life's journey, part of our life's path, and what it allows us to work hard to push ourselves through obstacles in the same sense as if you were weight training or weightlifting. You just don't lift 5 pounds and then, you're a bodybuilder. No, you have to push yourself through different obstacles, different challenges. And the same goes for any type of mental clarity, for any type of success in life, success in growth. So the obstacles that we face, if we really work hard to kind of flip them around a little bit and look at them in more of a sense of, even though they're uncomfortable and it's not something you're like, yay, I'm glad I'm experiencing. But if the challenge is there and that's what you're facing, trying to view it more as, how is this helping me? What can I get out of this? If I have to endure, then how can I prosper from it? Changing your mindset in that instead of spending all your time viewing how you hate this and how miserable it is, because that's ultimately not going to change. Considering that's where you put all your energy. you focus yourself on, okay, how do I get through this? How do I work through this emotion? How, identify or express how it is that you're feeling, because what you feel is what's real. But instead of spending all your time kind of just focused on the feeling, what are you doing? What is the passion? What is the power? What is the energy? What is the spark? What is the fire that you're putting into push yourself through it? And use that as something that is more of a phoenix type energy, versus just staying stuck in the idea that this is what you're experiencing. I think often we get sidetracked by thinking that if we don't remind ourselves that this is uncomfortable, or that I'm really working really hard to get through this, then no one will recognize our strength, or no one will recognize how difficult this is. And that's just frankly not true. We don't have to prove or project anything to get other people to say, yeah, that is a hard thing that you're doing, or yeah, congratulations, or good job. We have to learn how to do that for ourselves. And even though it's nice to hear that from people around us, and those people that care about us or that we think motivate us, and the likelihood is we probably still will hear from them, but going out and seeking that is usually a misuse of your energy, and can be draining, when that energy could have been focused in on you, and how you can empower yourself. And truthfully, the more that you empower yourself and put out that energy, the more you're going to get that energy back from those around you, from your environment. That's just the law of the universe that it took me, almost 50 years to figure out. But hey, I figured it out, or I'm figuring it out. But that's truth. So what are you doing that's pushing through these obstacles? And card number 3 will address or talk a little bit about, or give you some insight into some of the gifts or some of the rewards that you can come out of that. And let's see, card 4 is guidance for interacting with the outer world during this process. So the card 4 will kind of give you a little boost in what are maybe some steps that you could take, that could help you during this time get through it. Because again, these tasks will and are difficult. I'm assuming that if this is something that's resonating with you, you are experiencing something that's uncomfortable. And no matter how much of a positive spin you put on it, it doesn't necessarily take away the discomfort and whatever that is. And remember that, positive thinking or negative thinking is really just a human definition. That's not a definition of our spirit, because our spirit is of light. And regardless of the color of the light we're expressing or feeling, there's what is above is below. So it's both. It's just how you're absorbing it and what you're doing with it, and how you're feeling during the process of working through it is what you end up labeling as positive or negative. Number 5, or card number 5 that we'll pick, will be a special message from your higher self and spirit guides on this matter. Trying to think. There's a lot of talk going on inside my head, or a lot of dinging on my memory banks here. So I'm being guided to be like, the card number 5 is going to be a message from the spirit guides, but it's really going to be more directed from our inner child. And so remember, our inner child is really going to direct more of like, I want this now. If you think about, if some of you are parents, what you could really honestly take children at very different stages. They really kind of want what they want now. They just have a little bit different way of expressing that. But that's what our inner child is, something. So instead of this kind of like more higher aspect of who we are, of the more patient side, the more just kind of like you're doing fine, you're doing okay. If you think about more of like a very loving, supportive parent or mentor, that's would typically be more of like a higher self. And even though that the book is defining that the card 5 would be like that, right now I'm being instructed to go more on what your inner child would say. So for some reason it might connect more to the people that might be watching this, and that if you are, I think it's going back to actually what they're telling me to do is they're going back to, the card number 3, where we're talking about what are the gifts of working through these challenges. So card number 5 is going to help affirm that yes, it's okay that you think this or that you feel this way. There's nothing wrong with it, and just kind of reassure you or reaffirm that you're not the only person that would have this feeling, even though you're trying to do what others are asking of you, or you're trying to work through whatever it is that you're experiencing with your best intentions. That card number 5 is just going to remind you that, yeah, you know what, there are these things about ourselves that do surface, and they're wants and needs that we need to figure out how to address them in the same sense that we would address them with our children. We don't just be like, shut up and get be happy with what you have, and then they fall into line. That's just really not how it works. So we'll take a look at that. And then card number 6 is guidance for bringing this process into practical manifestation in my life. So just a little bit of an insight into what you could do to help manifest this. And it's funny because I actually was just on a little Zoom training tonight, and I was asked to come up with, you hear a lot about vision boards. So it's a little bit different than a vision board, because I think a vision board is really more like realistic and kind of like, okay, well, this makes sense for the next step for this to happen for myself. And so the Dream Big journal was really more on like, if I were to think about 5 years from now, like what I would really like to see of my life. And some of it, maybe I wouldn't necessarily want to share with other people, because maybe I might be a little conscientious about if they laugh or be like, oh yeah, right, that's going to happen or whatever. So the number 6 card is really going to address more on the lines of when you think about what your heart truly would want for yourself, 5 years out, or however that timeline is. Maybe it's 2 years out, maybe it's a year out. It's going to help you kind of look at how you might be able to manifest that, or what you could maybe focus a little bit more on, or kind of anchor yourself in a little bit more with to help you to get there, I guess. All right, so let's try it together. I had to, no, all right, it's a little backwards, but that's okay. So I need to figure out how we'll lay these out. It's kind of cool because the layout is like an egg. So I guess I could lay them out and then just put one card up at a time. It's kind of like Sophia's egg. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the idea of Sophia's egg. It's kind of like the short version of God's knowledge, the universe's supreme knowledge. So it's kind of neat how that setup is, because that's really what we're talking about. I mean, if you think about it, we all hold that information inside of us. That is the gift of being human, is that we hold the universe's truth inside of us. It's coded in us. And as we kind of meet different levels of, I don't know, I guess you can call it enlightenment, ascension, growth, personal development. There's a lot of different words for it, I suppose. But as we reach them, we unlock different areas inside of our mind that bring us to a new sense of understanding. And if you think about maybe the goals and the challenges that you faced or that you encountered throughout your life, you can definitely see a progression. Even if your life didn't necessarily keep moving up and it ended to go like, I had several, but no matter, even with the downslides where I was just like jumping off a cliff and not really knowing where I was going to land, and sometimes not intentionally, I got a little pushed off. My way of envisioning things or envisioning life still had it still evolved. It would never return back to this idea of what I had at 10 or 16 or 25, or and that's not to say any 25-year-old that might be watching this is immature or anything like that, but it's just my view on myself and the world ultimately changed as in alignment with my experiences. So it's kind of a little bit of a spin on what Sophia's A can be in a more realistic approach of it. Or it's just an evolution of our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. So, whoa, oh, sorry. So sorry. Oh, okay. Can you see me? Sorry. All right. So the first card we're going to pull is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to go ahead and pull that one for the first one. And then let's see where this lined out. I'm going to have to get used to this one. Okay, so I'm just trying to listen to what they want me to do here. I'm going to go in for this one, for 2. Three. 4. 5. All right, we'll just 6. All right, we're going to go ahead and pull that 7th card. I don't know what that's going to lead us to, but I guess we'll see, won't we? All right, so put that in there. Let me tilt this down a little bit because it's kind of cutting my head off. Oh, okay. Oh, so sorry. Okay, don't look at my nails because I need to paint them and I didn't paint them, so I'm so sorry. All right, let's get this down just a little bit so we can see the card. All right, there we go. Can we see it? Let me try to bend it up a little bit. All right, so what is the first card? The first card is guidance for a new life and creative awakening happening for me now. What is happening with this card? We got the card of number 4, going against the grain. So number 4 in a traditional deck of tarot, when you think of major arcana, is like an emperor. And so it would make sense that this is about getting in emperor mode and showing that, I don't know why this is like tilted a little bit. There we go. It's like getting into this power and plugging forward, which makes sense. I mean, if that's what this is about, is it's like a creative awakening, taking charge of your life, doing things differently. That would make sense that it would be a number 4. I mean, you would want it to be a number 4 because you want to take control of what it is that you want versus relying on other people to predict that for you or give that to you, even though sometimes that may be easier and maybe less going against the grain. it's often things that are end up being temporary. Because remember, this type of this is an inside job when you think about growth and development. This is an inside job, and it's about you learning how to define it, what it is that you want, whether it goes along with the life path that you've been currently on or not, or going against the grain or not. Again, going to this idea that often we have this belief that what we've been taught is exactly how life should go. And the truth is, there are many people that the things that they've been taught go actually against what their life's purpose or mission or soul development is telling them. And that's why people often be so miserable throughout life, is because it doesn't align with what they've been taught they should do. So we're going to try to stay away from what you think you should do and go more towards where your passion is drawing you, and understand. And through my experiences, sometimes, a lot of times, things that I've been most passionate about in my life have been things that I've been taught not to do. They've come at the greatest risks, but through it have given me the greatest rewards, and have ultimately sculpted me to be who I am today. And you know what, I can say that I really appreciate that person, flaws and all. Don't always like that person, especially when I don't sleep very well. I look very ugly in the morning. No, I'm just kidding. But, well, not really. But anyways, okay, let's hurry up. We're already how far? 25 minutes in this? Okay, I better shut up and get to the book. Okay, number 4. Against the grain. You want birds to be able to fly underwater. You want love to trump power. You want humility to relate to each other in equals and recognize the sacredness of you and the world around you. You want to unleash the beauty that hides even in the ugliest of scenes or sediments. You want to make possible what others say cannot be. You are a radical dreamer, a sacred rebel, and you bring light and more positivity and more positive future to the world. So this is basically saying, you know what? You want to make your mark. That's where you're at in life. And of course we can say, oh, well, that's so generic. Everybody wants to make a mark. Guess what? There's a lot of people throughout their lifetimes that maybe in different phases, or maybe even unfortunately through their whole entire life, that's not their passion, is making an imprint. If this is your passion, then Spirit is telling you right now, you're ready. It's time. It's time to move forward. It's time to make this risk. It's time to make this ripple effect. And hopefully the ripple effect that you're making is one that's really thoughtful, in the sense of, how is this impacting the world? What's the imprint that you're leaving? And it's not necessarily saying, is everybody like, ooh, great job? No, because sometimes going against the gain, or they're telling me to talk about loss and gains. Sometimes you got to lose a little bit to gain something. And that might mean, hold on, I got to take a drink here. That might mean, I'm being brought into this understanding that making huge shifts or changes in your life, if you're really starting to kind of skip a new rock out there, and find a new wave, or make a different type of ripple effect, you're going to lose some of your surroundings, the people that you're comfortable with, regardless of whether they're positive or negative or happy or sad. You're going to have to leave behind some things, and that might mean your job. That might mean the place that you live. That might mean how you do certain things. It's going to require you to feel uncomfortable, they're saying. But Spirit is guiding you to understand that there's a greater good for this. Even if it's uncomfortable, go with that passion. Go with what your heart is telling you to do. Right now is the ideal time. This is the ideal time. If there was ever a time to do it in your lifetime, right now is now. It's the time. the things that are happening in the world aren't just happening because, there's this terrible virus out there. There's a lot of other things that are going on. And that's not to say that it's not heart-wrenching that people are getting sick and people's lives are being turned upside down, and people are frightened and people are confused. I mean, all those things are, it saddens my heart. However, it's also the flip side of it is that it's pushing you to think and do things differently. It's pushing you to interact not only with others, but with yourself. What do you see when you look in the mirror? Is that the ripple effect that you want? And if it's not, then do something. Do something about it. Be a sacred rebel. That's what this card is suggesting you do. And if you notice, the woman on here is swimming in water, and water represents emotion. So being ready to jump in, feel what it is that you're going to feel, and not be scared away from it. So allow yourself to flow through the emotion. And she's naked, which means to let your armor down, to unzip, unplug, and allow yourself to be a little more raw. And if that means initially, while you're trying to define what this is, who this is, that you do it in private, then you do it in private. There's no right or wrong way or what type of leap you should take, whether that's off of the curb or off of a cliff. I mean, you get to decide and determine that. But allowing yourself to feel the real you, connect with who you are. This card talks about, that this can have its burdens. Deep down, you might not feel that you fit with the rest of the world. You feel like maybe there's something wrong with you, or, why things don't work out in the way that they do for other people. You focus on the differences, and the failures and the sadness and the loss. And it just says that even though this leaves you frustrated and lonely at times, to push through. There's something beyond that. There's a lesson to be learned in that. And there's a lesson to be learned in letting go and accepting what is. That has been a really hard lesson for me to learn in life, is to let go and trust that there is a divine timeline, that there is a divine path for me, that this is not all just coincidence, that there's a rhyme and a reason for it. This oracle comes with a special message for you, in that you are someone who lives and breathes in the deepness and creativeness of water, so of emotion. You're someone, your life path is about your emotional experience. It's about how that allows you, forces you to grow. Your pain is not in vain. It's not something that it's just bad fortune or bad luck, or the luck of the draw. It's something that was determined that for your soul development would push you forward, and push forth some very special some very special talents and gifts, and allow you to hear things differently, allow you to sense things differently. It just encourages you to go against the grain. So again, going back to this thought that we had a little bit earlier, that, just because you're taught this is the lifestyle you're supposed to live, or these are the things that you're supposed to do, when you reach this milestone or that milestone, or this is what your family lineage does, or whatever it is, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the path that you need to take. Ultimately, that's your choice, and that's what you have to choose. And I would strongly encourage you to create a space, a sacred space, to be able to make those decisions independent from anyone else. Now, you can get support, and that's important to have support, because guess what? Making huge changes in our life doesn't, I wouldn't say isolate yourself and, don't bring it to anyone's attention. But I would strongly encourage you to spend a considerable amount of time going within versus going without. Or, you know what I mean? I didn't say without anyone, but not just relying on other people to tell you what to do. I guess that there's a strong message in here for people that rely on other people to give them direction or make decisions for them. Spirit is encouraging you to start putting more energy and effort into you making those decisions. But at the same time, they recognize that the reason that you do that is because it's really difficult. It's uncomfortable emotionally for you because you don't trust yourself. That's what they're saying. And that's likely never to go away until you prove to yourself that you can trust yourself. You can swim. You can get naked and you can swim. And beauty comes out of being able to see yourself raw like that. And again, they're asking me to use an experience of my own that, to see myself in a very, very vulnerable place, really stripped of everything that I worked very, very hard for, regardless of whether it was out of my choices or not, brought me to a place of such honesty in a very brutal way. But at the same time, I have such an appreciation for that beauty of rawness and being able to not only see myself there, but nurture myself and not rely on not that other people didn't help me or didn't do this for me, but I really had to rely on my own compass, my own navigation system to help me kind of rise from that and rise out of that. But there is a beauty in devastation. And I know that sounds so cliche or, well, it certainly doesn't feel like that when you're in there in the midst of it. No, you're right, it doesn't. But as you begin to come out and rise out and climb out and scratch and crawl and whatever you have to do that, to get naked, to get raw, there is a beauty in that power that you will begin to see and that you can use for motivation and energy, life force. Life force is what they're telling me. Life force to push yourself up and out of that. So I guess that this card is about secrets too. So maybe some of you have had a lot of time to think in the last year, and you think about maybe some information that's come out given the close proximity or the removal of certain things from your life, and some information has come out that's been maybe hard to swallow. And instead of obsessing, because we have a tendency, human nature has a tendency to obsess on things that are a struggle and troublesome to us. That's just kind of how the mind fixates on. And Spirit is just supporting you in the sense that if you allow yourself to swim in it instead of control the emotion when it starts, when it stops, how much pressure you have with it, how much you feel about it, what you think about it, and just allow it to be and flow. Spirit is saying that, you know what, you'll find that the gasoline, the spark, the fire, the thing that burns you, that hurts you, will burn out. And you'll be left with something that you could then use as to step up the next stair. All right. So the next card is the card of any blocks or issues that you're working through to allow this life change to happen. Let's see what came up next. Oh, number 26. So relax the hold of darkness and be at cause. Okay, so 26 to me, excuse me. 26 to me means like just huge change, but huge change in a very masculine energy. So like, for instance, 26 is like doing something that's incredibly powerful or incredibly life-changing. If you think about masculinity, that part of us, regardless of what your sex is, the part of us is very direction focused. It's very problem solution focused. It's very strong and protective, and there's a lot of responsibility that's aligned with it. And so I think about 26 as being like maybe the first time you find out you're going to be a parent, and let's say it's like you're going to be a father. Just the level of responsibility that come with that, or the first time that you allow yourself to really emotionally fall in love with someone. and just the responsibility and the protection mode and the strength that would coming out of boyhood into manhood. And again, I'm using, you know, gender, but I'm not really talking about that. So 26, that's what it signifies to me. So let's see what the book says about it. I know this is kind of going on a little while, so we might have to kind of hurry through these cards a little bit. Okay. So it says, Dear Sacred Rebel, the moment in your life requires great courage. Fortunately, you possess the bucket loads. You are being asked to allow yourself to be lifted out of one level of known reality and into the next level of higher voltage reality. So that's exactly what we've been talking about, is just that understanding that for you to get to the next level, it's unknown, and you have to embrace for that change. You have to accept that there's a lot of anxiety that might come along with it, and then instead of focusing on how to stop the anxiety, focusing more on how to work through it. So this idea that, you know, through darkness and through the unknown, not knowing, it's time to saddle up and ride through it, and not allow yourself to or not prevent yourself from not moving forward, to not going through that door just because it's scary. And, you know, personal change is scary because you don't know what's on the other side. But I can guarantee that if you're unhappy where you're at, you'll continue to be unhappy there, most likely. Especially if it's not just a circumstantial thing, but it's where you are in life. You're at that, either that plateau, or maybe you just, you know, did a face dive, depending upon who you are and where you are. So the doorway is the only way that's going to offer you some possibility of change, even if it ends up being a failure. And that's what I've learned too, in that, you know, when I've made major changes in my life, it came with failure, and I just had to be okay with trying it again. And I just say to my kids, don't be mad. I just have to just try it again. I just have to try it again. Just gonna start over, you know. And of course you have to kind of alter your plan too, because maybe some of the plans initially that you tried to use just frankly don't work for you, and so you have to tinker them up. So maybe I'm not really good at, you know, doing anything with cars, but I certainly am pretty good at doing something with my life. And given my background, I really can appreciate trying to help somebody else kind of break a little bit more out of their mold, or at least holding a safer space for them to figure that stuff out themselves by talking through me or to me. So, let's see what it says. To access this reality, you have to leap from known waters, and that others may think, oh wait, you have to, so it's telling you to take a leap of faith. Even if people say, oh, don't do that, you're crazy. You know what? If that's where your passion is, jump. Say, see ya. I'll see you on the other side. Don't allow your fears to set you back. Just keep moving forward. And it talks a little bit about, you know what, we're a culture that's drenched in fear. And truthfully, that's what prevents us from achieving our life's desires, is fear. Not, honestly, anyone else. If you peel the onion all the way back, it's our own fear. So if you can train yourself to figure out a way to get through that terrain, not to not feel fear, because you know what you feel is real, but to use it to your advantage, you're going to figure out a way to get through. So Spirit is just guiding you to accept what is, accept the fears that you have, and to use it to your advantage. Figure out ways or methods that you can push through it. And you may want to talk with other people about what has been helpful for them, and what might make sense for you. And then you ultimately make your own decisions about that. Okay. So the number 3 card is the gifts that are coming with the process. So this is kind of a good card. Let's see what I like. Gifts. Oh, this is nice. I got this the other day. Well, not the other day, but when I first opened it up. Number 22. She feels. She knows. So the gifts that are coming is the gift of having confidence in yourself. That you know what, you know what's good for you. You don't need to rely on everyone else to tell you what to do and what not to do. I mean, yeah, it's good to get people's feedback. Yep, it's good to include others around you, especially if you have a family. You know, you just don't want to, I'm making my own decisions. You know, it can't be like that. But you know what I'm talking about. When it comes to life and being at a crossroad and making a decision and walking down it, it's about trusting your heart, trusting who you are, because that's where fear flourishes, is a lack of trust, a lack of inner trust. We all have the ability to connect with higher self realms. We all do. We all do. It's just about being able to quiet yourself and listen to that internal guidance that you have. And any guidance that is quick to say something or laugh at you or, say something that triggers into some hurt or some fear, that's not your higher self. That's what you can learn to kind of tune out and allow that to flow out, so then you can hear what's underneath that, because it's the voice that comes underneath it. It's always the voice that's comforting, even though it's not like the inner guidance from a higher source, our higher self, is not necessarily the words that we always want to hear. No, but the way that it's said in a way that is very loving. It's very kind. It's very supportive. It might tell you that's not for you. And I can tell you from my own personal experience, that's many times I didn't like to hear that. But the more I listened to and kind of didn't allow my ego, which is my fear, carry myself away with that and ride off all pissed off in the opposite direction, or say, screw you, I'm going anyways. Just allowed myself to feel that. I then heard the other things that were waiting for me. So it's the gift that comes with making a decision and following through with it and relying on yourself and trusting yourself, cherishing and valuing yourself, honoring your choices, your mistakes, your failures, your successes, comes this inner sense of being, of confidence, of assurance, of resource, of purpose, of power, of comfort, of a genuine sense of who you really are, and no need or reliance on the world to tell you or define you for you. I mean, there's just a beauty in that. There honestly is. And if you think about, what's around the horizon, or as you track up, I mean, only beauty lies up there, because nothing's false. There's no lies that you're telling yourself. It's real. It's honest. So that's where success lies. I mean, at least in how I vision life, success lies in the truth. Both the beautiful truth and the harsh truth. It's somewhere in between. And depending upon where you are in your life and in the day or the hour or the week or the month, the year, that gauge is going to change. But accepting the best of both worlds is where true fulfillment lies. All right. So the fourth one is guidance for interacting with the outer world during this process. So Spirit is guiding you to look at Pandora's gift. Woo! 45. And 45 to me, it's actually the age that my brother passed away. And so it's like, that says to me something cut short. Something cut short, but something not done in vain. So the guidance for you that Spirit is using my own personal experience to share with that is that don't focus too much, too long on what has not worked in your life and what life has passed by or what you've lost. It's not to say don't ever think about it, because when you're journeying down a new path, you need to remember some of those things, because some of those things are going to help prevent you from making the same mistakes and the same choices. However, at some point you have to let those things go and accept that that was just a part of your reality at that time. And yeah, you know what? There's some hard lessons, and sometimes not only did you hurt yourself, but you hurt other people, and that's your truth. But at some point, you gotta stick the stake in the ground and say, okay, that's my truth. I'm burying that now, and I have to move forward and move on. So Spirit is just guiding you to learn from your mistakes and not learn from your mistakes so you don't let them go in vain. But at the same time, don't allow yourself to fill yourself with shame. You know, shame is not helpful. It's okay to feel guilty when you've hurt yourself or other people, when you've let people down, disappointed them, disappointed yourself, let yourself down. But at some point, you have to let that go. And so Spirit is just encouraging you that there's a very strong male spirit that is connecting with me right now. Very kind of like elder, not a father, but more like a mentor, uncle, elder, of something that's encouraging whoever this is for, whatever collective this is for, because it's not an individual. They're just encouraging you to let it go. It's time to release. You've spent enough time feeling bad about that. You can't go back and change that. You can utilize it as something that doesn't need to go in vain. And so there's a lesson that's learned. And they're just encouraging you to let that go. So like I said, the fifth card is going to be from your inner child. And it's saying 27. So be opening to receiving. It's funny because 27 to me is a female energy of giving birth. So how fitting that it would be for your inner child. So giving birth, receiving, allowing yourself to enjoy some of the blessings that are going to come forth, allowing yourself to feel excited about life again. And even if it's not in the place that you would like it to be currently, to find things that you can be excited during the day, even if your ass is broke. Finding things that you can do that can make you feel like, you know, that laughter is free. You know, and that doesn't mean that you're happy about your whole entire life's trajectory at that moment, but you took the last 15 minutes to just be laughing and feeling good, and you forgot about whatever it was that is heavy on your mind. That does so much for your spirit, so much for your energy, so much for your purpose and your direction, so much for your skin. Think about that. Anyways, so encouraging you to a reminder to embrace what you get in life for free. Let go of that. Enjoy it. Birth out this new vision for yourself. And you think about being a new mother. I mean, at least I know for myself, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. You know, I thought that was a very scary time for me. It's probably very scary for my daughter too, but I'm not telling her about it. But you know, it's unpredictable, but guess what? Things fall into line. If the intention is honest and it comes from a pure place, then the goodness will find its way and the beauty will shine and show. So that's what your inner child is saying. You know what? Take a risk. Jump, dive, fly, do something different. You can do it. They're challenging you, encouraging you to move forward. They're saying they're bored. They're really bored with this crap that you got going on, and the water is pretty ugly. You know, it's dirty. They're saying it's time to get out and get into some new waters. Tread some new water. All right, so we are running late. Okay, let's hurry up and finish up here. And I promise I will stop talking so much so we can get through this, because nobody likes to listen to this for an hour. Okay, number 6, the guidance for bringing this process into practical manifestation. So what are you going to do, or what can you do that can help you manifest? 29, seeing the true you. That's what we were talking about. And this woman is looking into she's kind of leaning over a very fancy couch, but the couch is in water. So she's relaxing in her emotion. There's lily pads and beautiful lotus flower of what she's becoming. So Spirit is just encouraging you to see who you really are. Identify the things that are quite beautiful. Feel emotion about it. And don't worry if that's something that's uncomfortable, because many of us, when we have really positive thoughts about who we are and our strength and our gifts, we have a tendency to carry the burden, other people's thoughts about that. Like, well, that's, self-centered, or that's not true, because remember when you did this, or you were that, or you did this, who do you think you are now? So you're just saying, you know what, let go of that voice that you have. If it's kind of going back to the idea of, the angel and the devil on your shoulder. They're both you. They're both from your life experiences, but listen to the one that's kinder. And kind of really reward yourself. Manifest these positive thoughts about you. Manifest the possibilities of what could happen. You know what? Make your goals bigger than life, not just like, well, I'm going to make supper in 2 months from now. This is going to be my schedule, and it's a pretty mundane schedule. You know what? Schedule something exciting and work to accomplishing that. If you have to adjust it because that's just not, you didn't get it there that quickly, then adjust it. But Spirit is guiding you to make a larger goal in life. Do something different. Take a risk. And they keep saying that over and over. Take a risk. Do something different. Walk a different path. Don't allow your fear to hold you back. Keep trucking forward, and positive changes will come. They are coming. Even if it feels not positive in the beginning, they're saying don't allow that to sidetrack you. Walk through it, embrace it. Figure out what life is trying to tell you. What is your body trying to tell you? What is your spirit trying to tell you, encourage you to do or not to do? Use it as something that's strengthening, not as something that's preventing you from moving forward. Don't use it. Don't build a wall. They're saying the door is already there, but put a new knob. It's kind of like they're saying, like, sometimes you have like the 2 doors to go inside the house, and then there's like a screen door, but for some reason somebody like removed the handle on it. They're saying put a new handle on the door, so you're not having to try to pick through the holes to get it open. Just put a new handle on it, open up the door and walk through it. Stop making things so hard for yourself, so difficult. Just embrace what life has to offer, and try to find the beauty in between, and just take care of yourself. Okay, well, I'm sorry that this was like an hour. So when I do this, hopefully I can do it again tomorrow. When I do this, I will try to do it for no longer than 30 minutes. I'm going to keep that promise. Okay. If you followed me all the way through, thank you. And I hope you have a great night. And I'm happy that I got to spend this time with you. So I will see you guys all soon.